Hey, this is Bird again. I wanted to make a new R470 video for you guys that kind of gives an update on all my products for the R470, as well as talking about this bow a little bit after I've owned one for a while here. So if you'll just bear with me, I'm going to walk you through a few things. From my last video, which became pretty popular, I discovered several problems with my products. And the only way I was going to fix them is to buy my own R470. And trust me, I was apprehensive to do that. But I went ahead and bought one from Ravin. As usual, David Wilkins had a great deal on the bow. And he supplies a lot of extra goodies, like this awesome little soft case. He also provided 6 extra arrows for a total of 9, and some broadheads and this nice Ravin sling. You might recall from the last video that I didn't take care for this bow initially. I felt it was kind of heavy. Heavier than normal for a Ravin, and the crank was a little hard. But I was shocked to see that when I received my R470, they had made some slight changes in the design. For instance, I have black anodized twin screws, and they made some changes back here in the stock that allow those screws to be, I want to say, a little truer, perhaps, mounted a little securely, more firmly in the back. And the thing wasn't that bad to cock. And now that I've gotten used to it, I don't have much trouble with cocking it. And I solved the weight problem by purchasing this cool little TruGlo 2X red dot. Now, a lot of folks are going to the new digital scopes, and that's fine. But you know, I'm 76. I've got some nice mounts, both here at the farm and home, and I've got a lot of other racks. They're just mounted. The racks mounted on plaques, and my kids aren't really interested in that stuff. So what am I going to do with it? So I thought that probably the smartest thing for me to do is just purchase something that I haven't used before, and not worry about shooting. No, if I shot a really nice buck, I probably wouldn't shoulder mount it anyway. So why worry? We've got plenty of does around here, and I need to take some does out, and this would be the ideal candidate for that. But this little TruGlo, as you might recall, I'm so long-armed and big hands that I have to have a scope that moves further forward to get the eye relief that I need. But this little sucker is pretty sweet. All you do, look at this, you just flip that up, and you adjust your dial, digital dial. It's very, very, very solid, very nice. I find to put it on 5 out of 11 is plenty adequate. But I just tell myself that to conserve the battery, that when I'm calming down, before I calm down from the stand, I'll just do that, and turn it to 0. That's it. It's about as simple as you can get. It's 2x magnification. It's got a great, it brings in a lot of light. And I don't have my new target yet for the farm, but I'll show you how this sucker shoots. Well, let me tell you, she is dead accurate. I center punch the dot at 20. I center punch the dot at 32, which is my 0 for these Ravin arrows with 125 grain heads, and I center punched it at 40 with this little scope. Um, so she's convinced me, this 470 has convinced me she is definitely capable of being very accurate. And I just like simplicity, and this scope cost me $62 on Amazon. So, you know, I haven't really had much investment in it, but I'm going to try it this hunting season and see what she does. What I found, all I got to do, this little sucker shoots so flat that if I'm aiming at 40, I aim for there. If I'm aiming at 30, I aim for the dot. If I'm aiming at 20, I aim at the bottom of this 3-inch circle. Well, I ought to be able to figure that out. You know, I'm no expert at judging range, but I can tell the difference between 20, 30, and 40. And that's all I need to know. Okay, getting back to my accessories, I had to change the design of the crank handle holder, and that's because in order for this bow to be accurate, you want to make sure that your scope rail is level. So when you put a level across the scope rail, you want to make sure that that bubble level is showing level. And that's important when you shoot a longer distance. And I found that if I mounted this thing and used it as a spacer here, my material would compress a little bit and shift that scope rail off. That's not cool. So what I wound up doing is with every one of these crank handle holders that you order, it comes with 2 extra long screws. And basically you just take the 3/4 inch screws out that are provided by Ravin and replace them with these screws, which as I recall are about 1 3/4 inches. But anyway, this will come with the screws and the nylon washers and the stop nuts for the top. And all you're going to do is just unscrew the 3/4 inch screws and screw in the longer screws that are provided. Snug them up good and tight, and continue to use the Ravin hardened spacers. And then just drop this down, drop the nylon washers down first with the flat side in, and drop this on top, and then screw your nuts on here and snug them. You'll get a good snug fit, and you won't affect your scope level at all, and it won't have any kind of negative impact on your 470, which you spent a lot of money for, and I certainly don't want to screw that up for you. But this thing works great. You know, you can just grab it real quick and crank, and when you're done, you just push the button. Set this thing down where I can hold it good. Push the button. I put some heat shrink on there, and then some reflective orange tape. By the way, that'll come with every crank handle holder. So you can just pop it in like so. I have found that the best position for it is with this handle down and this up. And you want to, of course, put your shrink wrap and tape so you're far enough away from the cables. And that seems to work pretty darn good and holds this thing pretty darn securely. It doesn't slide out or anything like that. But in case you were to drop it, it's a cold morning, you're in a tree stand, and you drop the darn thing, at least you'll have reflective tape on here and to find the thing. Let's see, what else? Other changes, we now include these special stainless washers with the neoprene rubber backing for the top mount so that you can actually adjust the angle to what you like and then lock it down. So that works pretty good. I've got mine pretty tight in, but that's, yeah, you can see it's pretty tight in, but keep in mind this arrow I pulled the inside arrow out. That gives me plenty of room. And of course, once you get up in your stand or in your blind, you can always just put this off, no big deal. Now, as far as the level, we also include now a nylon washer for it. Make sure it's good and snug and doesn't imprint into my material. On the stirrup, we did a cool thing on the stirrup. We took and milled a pocket into the stirrup so that you slide this thing down on the Picatinny rail, and as you slide it down and you get close to hitting the riser here, you push it down and you hear a pop, and that's that thing settling into that pocket, and that'll automatically line up the hole, and you just screw your stainless bolt in place and you're good. And of course still have a bipod mount on it. Speaking of bipod mount, this is the bipod that I use, and here's how I shoot. This is all, to practice, this is all I do. And it works extremely well. You just take your bipod and you pop it on. You set this baby up, and you merely look through it like that, level it up, take your safety off, and you're good to go. Adjust your cheek piece so that your eye centers in the scope, and this is remarkably steady. That's how I center push the dot at 20, 32, and 40, and nothing but this bipod on, but I did have the legs adjusted out a little bit, and to adjust the legs out, it's about as simple as it gets. You just do this, twist them, pull them out, twist them back. That's all. But anyway, this is made by Primos, called Polecat Rapid Attach. Okay, let's see. As far as my accessories, I made a slight change in the trigger shoe. Put the screw in the center so that you get a nice snug fit. And I think that's about it for my accessories. Let me get back up here on my bench, and we'll talk a few more minutes. I appreciate your time. I tell you, I've been shooting Ravin since 2016, and I'm pretty comfortable shooting them. And one thing that I have discovered, and I'm going to not belabor the point, but if you want to really shoot accurate with a Ravin, I can show you a 1-inch, 100-yard group of an R9. I can show you hitting a half-inch dot at 100 yards with a chrono sitting in front of the target with my R10. And what I have learned, and that's why I make this trigger shoe. That trigger shoe is wider, and it puts the trigger further up so that when you cock it, it's up like that. And what works for me is once I sit down on my target there, which makes a nice comfortable seat, it also is great for cocking your Ravin, particularly this sucker here, because it's a little more difficult to cock. But here's a secret to crank this thing. Put your sling on, okay? Take your hand and wrap it around like that. And now grab it. The sling will help you hold it steady as you crank. Okay, I was talking about accuracy. One thing that really helps in accuracy is learn, for me, and it might be different for you, but once I sit down there and have the bipod set to the right height, and I'm comfortable just holding it like this, once I take the safety off, I learn to transfer the weight. I use the trigger to steady the bow. Honest to God, that sounds weird, but I use the trigger, the pressure on it, preloading the trigger with pressure on the bow. And by preloading the trigger, and the trigger being wider like that, all I'm doing is just relaxing and focusing on nothing but the dot. And boom, it'll just go off on its own. And when it goes off on its own, you're gonna kill that dot. It takes all the flinching and all that away. Of course, I also use 2 fingers. You'll notice if you put 1 finger on the trigger, you can do this. Look what happens when you put your 2 fingers side by side. You can't do that. It's very difficult to move it, to pop the trigger hard. And get used to that, and your arrows will just go on a dot and there'll be nothing to it. But anyway, enough talking about that. The other thing I want to talk about is some things not to do with this crossbow, with my accessories. One is, when you put it back in this cooling case, you notice I took out the inner portions of it that comes with it, because I felt that was too much. For God's sake, do not put your quiver, snap your quiver on and set it in there, because you'll break this. You'll break these fingers. Because this thing is so narrow. Look what happens when you put this in here. It fits fine, even with the butt plate extended out 5/8, which is as far as you can go. It fits fine, but if you put that quiver on there and you split this and try to shut it, it's just going to bind it up. So it's just not cool. The other thing, what I do, when I zip it up, I just take my arrows and flip them in here. I think I actually do this, but they'll just slide right in there and zip it up. So when you're ready to hunt, you just unzip this thing and unzip this and pull your quiver out with your load with your arrows and pull your bow out. It's that simple. But it's a very nice case. I really love the case, and it definitely will protect your expensive bow. Let's see, one other thing I was going to say. Oh yeah, when you mount your crank handle holder, you can mount it on the right and you can mount it on the left, merely by pivoting this around. But always make sure it's on top. Make sure the bolts go underneath and screw into this section right here. And that's because this section is threaded, this isn't. So by screwing in from the bottom, you make sure when you snug this, you have equal force on your bow to level the scope rail. And now whatever you put on top has no impact. But if you were to try to put this on bottom, that's not going to be the same case, because the threaded section again is at the top. So don't put this on the bottom, just either put it on the top left or the top right, and that's it. Okay, I think that's about it. Thanks so much for spending time to watch this, and I hope you enjoy your new R470 as much as I'm enjoying mine. Have a great day now. Bye.